Hey.
I will make you dance, meat puppet! You're a joke to me!
Do you still have that site up so you can just read that?
Yeah, I brought it up literally just so I could quote it at the start of your stream.
Oh my god.
Well, you have to admit that character is hilarious, and there's no way for him to not be hilarious.
Yeah.
I will also mention that there's now spit on my screen.
Anyways, the first SCP of the night is one we skipped last time because it was so long. But since I have to stay up all night, there's no, limit to how long I'll be streaming. So, I'll be reading this one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Void Sanctuary, aka item SCP-2470. Object Class Keter. Special Containment Procedures. To facilitate Containment Area 141 has been established at the site of discovery due to the extremely hazardous nature of 2470, as well as the potential threat from pro-apocalyptic religious mystical movements and sects. On-site personnel are responsible for both containing the object and protecting Area 141 from any and all outside threats. Containment Zone Structure. The central containment volume of Area 141 headquarters is a hyperboloid-shaped room with a lower base diameter of 55 meters, upper base diameter of 42 meters, and 36 meters in height. Walls and floor structures are doubled. The outer walls, no less than 4.5 meters thick, are made of high-density pre-stressed concrete. The inner ones, 1.5 meters thick, are made of special adamant brand high alloy steel produced by Plant 45. The containment volume is fitted with 2 sets of service interest airlocks with class. Is that 5 or 6?
That's 6.
6. Okay, I'm not good with Roman numerals, thank you. Class 6 explosion resistance blast doors and an additional emergency quick hardening compound sealing system. In the center of the containment volume, there are 2 concentric icosahedron shaped shells, polyhedron with 20 faces, installed with diameters of their circumspheres being 8 and 12 meters respectively. The shells are supported by a 2-spool suspension system and are additionally surrounded by a Faraday cage made of superconducting cable with cells no larger than 5 centimeters across. High vacuum inside the shells and the containment volume is maintained by 2 main and 6 backup heavy-duty turbomolecular pumps. The space between the inner and outer walls of the containment volume acts as a for vacuum space. Sorry.
Have you never seen the word vacuum?
Well, it says so it's for vacuum.
Yes!
Oh.
For a vacuum.
Just remember, this is the same person who can pronounce ancient Hawaiian weapons.
Anyways, it is pumped by 4 main and 4 reserve rotary rotary vein pumps, which are capable of operating in an accelerated mode for no less than 1 hour. Pumps
Are
are to
you
be.
trying?
Huh?
Are you trying to make me pissed?
What?
Rotary?
Shut
Ah.
up. Pumps are to be checked for serviceability on a weekly basis. Preventive replacements and scheduled maintenance are to be conducted every 2 months. Area 141's electric power supply consists of no fewer than 2 independent external sources and 2 main and reserve, standalone power systems with at least 100% margin of capacity each. The central shells are identical in structure except for respective dimensions, and both are constructed of 20 triangular titanium plates 1.5 centimeters thick, mounted on a steel skeleton and adjusted to minimize gap size along matching edges. One of the plates of each shell is to be mounted on a guide rail serving as an access port, which can only be opened from the outside. The frames in question are to be connected to a stabilized voltage supply, maintaining a potential difference of 120 volts across the structure. The inner surfaces of the shells are covered with luminophore compounds that radiate when conducting electricity and produce afterglow for 20 minutes in case of power failure. Luminophores are of different colors, make up an image, a medically active visual representation of the so-called someone saying a German word.
Which word?
That one.
Weibschatten?
Just sound like I was shitting.
Weibschatten! That's my best guess.
Is that supposed to be a bee, or?
I don't fucking know. It looks like a bee, so I assumed it's a bee. It's just a special bee.
Yeah, the one thing that makes me annoyed is the line is so close to touching, but it's not.
Anyway.
I'm gonna go with Hatchet. It's Weibschatten's imperceivable exponential paradox that irreversibly destroys general perception processes upon being perceived. Another board with the same image is located behind the outer shell access hatch, placed in such a way so as to obstruct the view of the region within 3 meters of the shell's geometric center. Should the outer shell access hatch be opened while the inner shell is compromised, shell integrity checkup is being conducted at least once every 2 weeks. Inside the containment volume, the following objects are also situated: 2 spontaneous decoherence generators, destruction of the phenomenons of quantum entanglement, 3 zero-veil generators, a codename used as a means of suppression of redacted, a telepathy suppression device created using SCP redacted. It is essential to maintain a full stock of an aforementioned devices. In case stock supplies diminish, replacement devices are to be manufactured by the Foundation's corresponding facilities upon first request. As soon as possible and within the highest priority, the operation procedures are explained in the corresponding manuals attached therein. Alright. Work regulations in the containment area. All work inside the containment volume are carried out by groups of no fewer than 3 grade 4 engineers who receive appropriate training and pass qualifying examination. Any works that have been performed outside the central shells are to be conducted preferably using robots controlled remotely via a fiber optic cable. In case human intervention is necessary, personnel must operate wearing full body suits with fiber optic communication. All types of wireless devices are forbidden to be handled and or used inside the containment volume. Internal examination of the central shells is conducted only by people wearing special descendants full body suits. The suits includes a Weibschatten's paradox of medic agent displaying system with 100% external area coverage, a spectrum correcting suit built into the HUD. Said suit is attuned to wavelengths the luminophore compound cells radiate in and makes the mimetic agent safe for perception by suppressing specific colors. A spatial image filtration system with high precision inertial control that blocks the view of the area within 3 meters of the shell's geometrical center. A chronometer with voice countdown for preset periods. Any forms of interaction between the personnel inside and outside the shells are forbidden. Staff members inside the shells communicate between each other using a set of hand signals. The procedure of planned internal examination of the shells is performed along the following steps. 1. Synchronizing chronometers may be done immediately before entering the containment volume. 2. Inertial control system calibration. It is to be done right in front of the external shell's hatch to avoid error accumulation. 3. Activating image filtration system, switching on the mimetic agent display. 4. Opening the external shell's hatch, starting 35-minute countdown. 2 employees enter the external shell. The third one stays outside and locks the hatch behind them. 5. One of the incomers examines the inner surface of the external shell for any integrity violations. The second examines the outer surface of the inner shell. Regulated procedure time 15 minutes. After finishing procedure 5, the employees considering the time left make a decision on entering the inner shell in case a negative decision is reached. See number 10 in case of a positive decision. Number 7. Opening the hatch of the inner shell, starting the 15-minute cooldown. One of the employees enters the inner shell, the other remains inside the external shell and locks the hatch from the outside. Number 8. Examination of the inner surface by the incomer is essential to avoid any contact with the area within 3 meters of the geometrical center during the examination. Regulated procedure time 15 minutes. Number 9. Regardless of the outcome of Procedure 8, when finishing the 15-minute countdown, the incomer is to be in front of the hatch, being ready to leave. The hatch is to be opened by the employee outside exactly by the time the countdown is finished and only for 20 seconds. And then closed and locked afterwards regardless of circumstances. Number 10. By the time the 35-minute countdown is finished, both employees are to stay near the external shell's hatch. The hatch is to be opened by the employee outside exactly by the time the countdown finishes, and only for 40 seconds, and closed and locked afterwards, regardless of circumstances. Number 11. Leaving the containment volume, debriefing and progress report to the operator in case procedures were not carried out in full. Another team is to be prepared for second examination. The second examination is being conducted completely regardless of progress of the previous team. Employees failing to leave the shells on time are considered killed in action. No rescue missions are to be attempted under any circumstances. In case said employees are found during subsequent examinations, they are to be removed from the shells and remanded to medical staff immediately. Taking off the suit and providing medical care is forbidden for any employees other than medical staff. The emergency protocols. Transmission of information about the outside world into the shells in a form of perceivable by the object, even if not having observable consequences, is to be classified as a containment breach and aborted as soon as possible. Termination of any employee is permitted if required to enact such. However, it should also be kept in mind that a deviation from the routine containment mode, as long as it remains stable, is preferable to frequent and sudden changes of the object's surroundings. For this reason, containment restoration is being conducted through decisive action, guaranteeing solid and sustainable results. In case of pressurization of the main containment volume, all turbomolecular pumps are to be shut off. I suffered saying that word. In order to prevent overload, all rotary main pumps are to operate in overdrive mode to sustain a maximally achievable vacuum during recovery operations. If the air pressure inside the containment volume exceeds 1 mbar, only operations are to be conducted in sound dampening mode. In case of visible integrity loss in any of the central shells, said shell is considered beyond repair. Instead, a new shell with a diameter of 2 meters greater than the current outer shell is being constructed around the central shells. If the outer shell is intact, or 2 successful shells if both current shells are damaged. After a new shell is put into operation, the old one is to be dismantled, removed, and remelted. The current dimensions of the containment volume allow to conduct the procedure as many as 5 times, hence, after fourth occurrence of shell integrity, loss in subsequent recontainment as described above, site personnel is to initiate work on containment volume expansion. In cases of significant damage to both the shells and thus an inevitable breach of containment volume, Protocol 2470 Alpha is to be engaged. High Command must be notified of the situation immediately through a special hotline. Contained objects of little avail classified as safe or Euclid, preferably extra-dimensional, info, or cognitohazardous, self-replicating upon destruction, or having a particularly complex structure, are to be brought to the breach zone before any containment restoration procedures take place. This measure is supposed to mitigate the object's destructive influence by forcing it to spend a significant amount of time fully analyzing the complexity and inconsistencies of the aforementioned objects, while their unique properties should not allow 2470 to make any substantial conclusions regarding the properties and laws of baseline reality. Any risks related to the object interactions are considered justified. Permanent deployment of some of the objects from the approved SCP list inside the facilities of Area 141 is currently under review. In case of BI before invasion, class, or TCF, total containment failure, cause scenarios if any local factors directly compromise the safety of Area 141 or by the order of the O5 Council, Protocol 2470 Beta must be engaged in order to neutralize 2470. 4 executors, 2 main, 2 backups are to be selected from the approved list and delivered to Area 141. The subjects must receive instruction and conduct test procedures on D-class personnel. The main and backup pairs afterwards stand on duty with a 5-minute notice to start the procedure until Protocol 2470 Beta is cancelled by a direct order from the O5 Council. At the order of High Command, or in a case of sudden aggravation of the situation and loss of communication with the headquarters, the neutralization procedure is to be enacted under Area Command responsibility. After it is confirmed to be successful, the executors, both pairs, and all the D-class personnel located in Area 141 are to be terminated. Any documentation relevant to 2470 is to be destroyed, and Area 141 is to be evacuated and destroyed via thermonuclear charge. Neutralization of the object, regardless of all the complexities of its containment, is the very last resort and is to be avoided until absolutely necessary. For this reason, subjects from the potential executors list are not to be present in Area 141 unless Protocol 2470 Beta is engaged. The last of the special containment procedures, organizational aspects. Due to the containment procedure complexity and unacceptable potential cause of error, a training complex has been established on Area 141 grounds for the purpose of general simulation of the containment volume in the containment area. All personnel involved with the containment are to be regularly practiced under supervision of an authorized employee with level 3 clearance and take qualification tests at least monthly. A non-routine works and procedures can only be carried out after training course simulations and rehearsals show a 100% success rate. Exceptions to this rule are permissible only on private order of area director in situations of extreme time pressure. Medical staff are to conduct physical examination of the working group prior to entering the containment volume and examine all Area 141 personnel monthly. Prior to deployment in Area 141, each member of the medical staff is to read, understand, and sign the classified document 2470X with a level 4 clearance employee as witness. Significant psychological tension caused by a large amount of important and demanding procedures associated with every entry into containment volume, such as wearing and checking a full-body suit, passing through the 4 airlocks, calibrating numerous systems, working inside the shells under severe time pressure, and others. Necessitates extra attention to personnel's mental health. Engineers assigned to the containment volume are to be given additional vacations. Any and all research of SCP-2470 is currently forbidden. Access to the archive of previously gained / retrieved information for purposes of analysis is allowed for employees of level 3 clearance or above by direct approval of at least 2 O5 members. As it is suspected that some members of the sect presumably responsible for the object's appearance or connected to it may be still alive and at large. Area 141 is considered to be under aggressive threat, although there is no reason to believe the aforementioned cultists to have any significant forces at their disposal. They possess information about the object that may potentially help them attract the interests of and gain support from other potentially dangerous radical organizations. Because of that, MTF Redacted and Redacted, apart from their main duties, are charged with monitoring the activity of any pro-apocalyptic groups and to actively investigate cultists, to contact them by creating front radical organizations and sects. That is all of the special containment procedures. I'm gonna take a sip of something right now.
Yeah, you
That's
do that. I'm
valid.
gonna. My head hurts.
That is so much information.
How long was that?
Let's see. Oh my gosh, a lot. Probably most likely 23 to 24 minutes.
It's been 20 or so minutes of mind-melting containment procedures. What the fuck is this SCP?
Well, we're about to find out. Alright, description. SCP-2470 is a specific existential entity or a perceptive element which is objectively an initial manifestation of a ZK class scenario.
Oh.
Due to insuperable obstacles related to its perception, the object's appearance, if it has any, remains unknown. Its current locus is determined indirectly based on the area of effect it produces. Said effect is manifested through the instantaneous disappearance of any object or event perceived by 2470 from objective reality. First and foremost, this applies to the most proximate aspects which are directly accessible to the object's senses. Thereafter, as the object accumulates knowledge, gains abstract understanding of the nature of things, and makes generalizations, the effect extends to the phenomena themselves, their direct and later indirect consequences. For instance, during the initial recovery operation, it was noted that the sound of the agent's footsteps, said agents were obstructed from the site by smoke screens, was starting to drown out due to sonic escalations having stopped. Soon afterwards, large volumes of the air itself started to spontaneously disappear, which caused hypobaric effects, which was followed by the disappearance of several agents' legs, and finally the agents disappeared wholly and completely. In a similar fashion, at first several clots of the aforementioned smoke screen disappeared, but the effect soon spread to whole smoke clouds, followed by an all active smoke grenades at the operation site. This culminated with the disappearance of all smoke grenades of that specific type of the operation site, regardless of their being within range of the object's perception. The disappearance of soil caused a crater up to 200 meters deep to manifest at the location of the object's discovery. Apparently, the object was somehow confused that every demanifested volume of soil brought more into view, and that slowed the process down. It did not manage to realize the Earth as a limited, infinite entity. Due to the constant disappearance of air, atmospheric pressure has dropped at that operation site, and steadily high current cyclone was formed. Since any generalizations of reasons behind any phenomena inevitably lead to using abstract concepts and eventually lead to logically reasoning universe's existence per se, 2470 is classified as a potential ZK class hazard. According to analysis of gathered data, it was reliably established that the object possesses the following senses: a perception of electromagnetic radiation, an extremely wide frequency range, including the visible spectrum, which is analogous to vision.
Analogous.
Analogous to vision, right? A highly sensitive perception of mechanical stimuli, which is analogous to tactile sense and hearing. A perception of data expunged. Following senses are responsibly likely to be possessed by the object: a direct yet severely limited telepathic perception, a perception of certain quantum effects, particularly quantum superposition of states of
Superposition.
superposition of states as a singular phenomenon. The latter hypothesis is related to the events that happened during redacted, as well as damage and demanifestation of at least equipment sensors and human sensory organs during attempts to perceive the object directly, which is apparently related to the wave function collapse that inevitably accompanies an act of perception and is seemingly perceivable by 2470. Moreover, this hypothesis, combined with the conclusion regarding data expunged, provides an explanation to how an object managed to avoid exposure to Weib-Schatten's paradox. Apparently, the effect of quantum entanglement of the object in present time within itself is an immediate future allows it to foresee the damaging effect of the mimetic agent without even having a concept of its nature, and, based on that information, allows 2470 to refuse to perceive it. To close its eyes, metaphorically speaking. However, the fact that this modus operandi remains its only manner of existence for redacted years and containment counts in favor of the paradox's adequacy and efficiency of the developed neutralization procedure, which is based on a forceful inoculation of a destructive mean bypassing the object's senses. Information is removed from public access. Deletion pending level 4 clearance is required to continue. The Foundation code, redacted. Looks like access granted. Alright, hold on. I'll be right back. Apparently I almost already finished my drink, so I'm gonna get refill. I'll be back.
Okay.
Sorry, but
So yeah. But if my brain is gathering the information being read correctly, this is an object that causes anything that it perceives and thinks about to disappear.
More of things it thinks about and
Alright,
wants to
I'm back.
disappear.
I'm back.
I mean, was it like has it been stated that it actually like has any will that we know of?
Well, I guess we're gonna find out further on. Yeah. Alright. According to another hypothesis, the idea of SCP-2470 being a cognizing entity is not quite correct, as a CK class scenario can leave behind neither any knowledge of the current existence nor any entities possessing such knowledge. Actually, the origin of the effect resulting in a ZK class scenario lies not within the object, as we got used to thinking, but within the whole outer world. It is not the object that tears fragments away from reality, but the reality itself discharging these fragments and casting them into the most fitting place, into the unfillable being that is 2470, as soon as they form a strong enough causal connection with it. Unbeing as the true nature of the object originates as a result of every successful attempt to perceive it, thus as unbeing as a priori singular part of the object manifests on the information medium or inside the perceiver's mind, destroying it directly. Under this hypothesis, this explains the above referenced effects on perception. From the perspective of the cognizing nature of the object appears to be merely an illusion, caused by its dualistic position relative to the forgetting nature of the universe through a virtual cognition. A cognitive quantum, a quasi-particle introduced in the theory of redacted as an elementary particle, a model mind mediator. Right. Related to the object created by this impact appears to be indistinguishable from the real one. Moreover, the concept of real and objective appears to be conventional and hardly applicable in a given context. This is what determines the object's inability to perceive Weierstrass's paradox, but in this case, it appears to be an objective and natural limitation, not related to a willed refusal to perceive. From this point of view, the effectiveness of the developed neutralization procedure seems very dubious. Alright. Recovery log. The first report of the object's anomalous activity came on redacted from an airplane observer of FGU. How the fuck do I say that?
Where are we?
Right here.
F.
Avial Sorry, I just keep doing the accidental R roll. God damn it. Nah. You know, I give up. I think my Spanish blood is 1/4 too much.
It's motherfucking Russian. That's all we need to know.
Yeah, a Russian government agency charged primarily with the area management of forest fires. He was conducting fire safety monitoring in the redacted area. The pilot reported a huge deforested area centered around a wide, deep cavity. Communication with the pilot ceased soon afterwards. The report was intercepted by undercover Foundation agents in the MES, and a reconnaissance operation with redacted mobile task forces was arranged. Initial hypotheses regarding the object's nature were defining it as something akin to a miniature black hole. However, primary analysis disproved this point of view and demonstrated the true nature of the anomaly. Several methods of containment and/or neutralization, such as data expunged, had been applied unsuccessfully and were followed by a proposal to use Weierstrass's paradox in order to neutralize the object. This attempt was a partial success. Neutralization was not achieved. However, it was discovered that the paradox's carrier was not susceptible to the object's effect, which allowed the Foundation to capture 2470 after several unsuccessful attempts and develop the current containment protocols. Total losses throughout the whole operation amounted to redacted employees.
That's at least a 3-digit number right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, excerpt from
I
Dr.
think it's probably a 4-digit number.
No, it looks to be a 3-digit number.
Yeah, I think it's only 3 digits because there's only 3 boxes.
Yeah.
Excerpt from Dr. Redacted's report. There was a remarkable episode during one of the first attempts of neutralization when at the suggestion of Agent Redacted, a mirror was placed within the object's field of view. It seemed logical that after seeing its own reflection, the object would neutralize itself. However, though the other things reflected in the mirror were subjected to its effect to the full, the object itself did not undergo any changes. Instead, it destroyed the mirror. Although this action took it 12 seconds, more than it usually took for items of similar scale. Also, it is obvious that the object has not been self-destructing due to self-awareness for redacted years already. This can be rationalized by one of the following hypotheses. The object is either able to apply its effects selectively or is passively non-susceptible to them. The object is either unable to perceive itself or is avoiding that. The object itself is uncognizable. The uncognizable nature of the object is actually the object itself. Any sort of cognition results in the object's duplication, or is equals to the object growing due to its indivisible nature. Last hypothesis, data expunge for more precise control. According to the data gathered later on, a small village of Redacted, which had been abandoned since at least the late 80s, had been situated at the initial discovery site. However, a few years before the anomaly appeared, it had been occupied with members of an unidentified radical pro-apocalyptic religious community. The evidence of their activity is sketchy and inconsistent, though it suggests that data expunged. Why do I get the feeling it's most likely the cult of the Scarlet King?
Yeah.
Because that's basically what the Scarlet King wants.
Well, the Scarlet King wants the end of our universe. It sounds less like the end of our universe and more like their universe would be invading ours.
Yeah. Addendum 1. The 05 Redacted's Memorandum to Area 141 personnel. Dear colleagues, after the command of Area 141 informed me of the certain popular perceptions among your community, I sought to explain certain particularities regarding our policy on 2470. Yes, this object is exactly as dangerous as you were told, or probably even more. Thus far, our only salvation was that the fact that the embryonic state of its mind cannot comprehend many of the things we considered obvious. That air is not nothingness and exists not just when it feels a breeze. That the earth is a celestial body of infinite size. That the sun is not a flat shining spot on the horizon. That people, despite how different they are, all represent humankind as a whole, and so on. Yes, it is essential to keep the object in complete isolation and to avert any transmission of the most insignificant information at any cost. It learns very fast, and we can never be sure which grain of knowledge it lacks to be given a nudge to the ideas of space, time, infinity, and the universe. Yes, it is both difficult and dangerous to contain such an object, and yes, we do possess a procedure for its neutralization. Why are we not engaging it? The reason is because the containment itself is of a huge strategic value to us. The thing is, according to the research on the subject, simultaneous occurrence of two CK class scenarios is fundamentally impossible. Therefore, as long as one of them is being contained, we guarantee that the others, which might not be so easily controlled anyhow, will not happen. In fact, we are very lucky that this object took a form that can be contained at acceptable cost, so it would not be sensible to lose such an opportunity. Therefore, containment will be carried out as long as we can manage, with neutralization being planned only for such an extreme case when the object's direct threat will be big enough to negate all of our prospects of carrying this policy out in the future, along with the future itself. Through thick and thin, you have to note that your work guarantees humanity's continued existence. Treat it properly, securely contain, protect. Sincerely yours, 05 Redacted.
What even is this accent?
I don't know.
I've always wondered that too.
I don't know what
Also,
that is.
it sounds like the O5 Council are literally not destroying it because it prevents things just as bad or worse from happening.
However, I've heard that similar accent being used by an O5 member reading his factory log. So that's why I use that voice when you do O5s.
But yeah, they're basically holding on to this thing
Yeah.
as what's the right analogy? If we're in a Cold War between other ZK class scenarios, then this thing allows us to basically cancel out other scenarios somehow.
Yeah. That's actually I wonder about a theory, because you know that that one joke SCP that gets worse every time you say it. It would get to the point
Yeah.
of ZK. So would would saying it no longer work?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about. Alright. Addendum 2. The list of enactors and the methodology for procedure of the object's neutralization. The procedure is to be performed by 2 subjects possessing confirmed telepathic abilities related to no less than 9 points on the redacted scale, with a satisfactory... Huh?
Hmm?
Oh, I thought someone said something. Never mind.
No.
No, I was trying to shoo a cat away from something I'm not supposed to be
Ah,
doing.
gotcha.
Chewing a cat is in fact not talking.
Yeah. With a satisfactory result for 2470 QT spatial awareness test, no history of earlier exposure to and no impairments such as color blindness that affect visual and color perception. In case the list is down to 30 positions or fewer for whatever reason, use of SCP Redacted for development of telepathic abilities is suitable candidates is authorized for the purpose of replenishing the list. As of today, redacted individuals are on the list, namely data expunged. Immediately after Protocol 2470 Beta is engaged, there is a preliminary measure that consists of building an additional shell according to the requirements for the inner shell breach scenarios. The executors must be kept in ignorance of the true purpose of the area, a cover story of it being Telepathy Research Center, and the process being a test of their abilities is to be adhered to. Additionally, the subjects must not know about each other's existence. Violation of this condition is grounds for immediate termination and a selection of new candidates. A neutralization procedure is performed using an adapted version of Weibschatten's paradox, divided into 2 subcomponents, both safe to be perceived separately. The subject's task is to memorize one of the subcomponents and to implant it, synchron... Oh, fuck. Synchronously?
Synchronous.
Synchronously, yeah.
Synchronously.
Synchronously, yeah.
Got it.
That's like one of those words where I know I should know how to pronounce it, but it just breaks me when I try to.
Yeah.
So I ain't blaming you on that one.
Sounds like you know how to say it, it's just really hard to say it.
Yeah, alright,
Yeah.
hold on, I gotta... Stretch. Alright, come here, Bust. Shit. Give me a moment.
Did you just call your dog a shit?
Yes. I think it's necessary for pet owners to at some point call their pet a shit.
Alright, I'm back.
Welcome back. And I will admit that might be true since thinking back, I even called Darling a shit a few times. But Darling, when she was alive, was also the type where the quote, I don't get mad, I get even fits very well. Which probably isn't very good when you're dealing with a highly intelligent cat.
Yeah. Anyways, into the mind of the entity, which is located in the center of the shell. Demonstrated to them using live transmission, the active 2470C telepathy suppression device is to be switched off 5 seconds before the subjects are authorized to act and should be kept offline for at least 15, but no more than 25 seconds. Trial runs for this procedure are conducted on the on-site training complex using Class D test subject. At least 3 successful trial runs in succession are required before the performers are cleared for work. When taking part in the actual procedure, the subjects must not know it is not a trial run. After the procedure is performed, the first inspection is conducted by switching off the inner shell power for 30 minutes. In case the inner shell shows no change in its electrical performance and has no other signs of structural damage, the inspection is considered passed. The second inspection is conducted visually by means of employees entering the central shell, wearing protective suits, with a special image filtration system turned off. If the procedure is successful, the shell should not have anything inside. Wait, that means you just killed them!
Yes.
Damn! Alright. Addendum 3, Document 2470X, Medical Staff Only. This document is intended for the medical staff of Area 141 only. Divulgence in any details contained herein is a result in termination. Any other employee displaying knowledge of the contents of this document is to be assigned from the appropriate disciplinary action, treated with an A-class amnestic, and transferred to another Foundation facility. The medical staff of Area 141 are to pay extra attention to psychological health assessment of employees during periodical personnel surveys, aside from disorders that are natural for conditions of strenuous work. Special effort must be put in discovering the following complex of symptoms: repetitive dreams featuring an abstract pulsing and growing black mass, identified as 2470 by the examinee, total lack of any dreams soon thereafter in less than a week, flattening of effects, progressive indifference to surroundings and reactions becoming mechanical, repeating episodes in which the examinee looks at the common everyday objects for a long time with an uncommon curiosity, a lack of any discernible dreams lasting for 2 weeks is considered a sufficient warrant for a suspension and quarantine assessment. The quarantine implicates a termination of any forms of communication with any personnel not involved in the process of assessment. To ensure reliable diagnosis, a trust relationship with the personnel is to be set and maintained. It is recommended to present the practice of regular discussions of dreams as a preliminary phase of psychological survey aimed at distraction from the current situation and relaxation. The keen interest in nightmares can be explained as a search for hidden reasons for nervousness and analysis of suspended fears. The aforementioned diagnosis should be given top priority for personnel involved in procedures taking place inside the containment, volume, and central shells, and especially for those who spent unscheduled time inside for whatever reasons. The latter are to be quarantined immediately and thoroughly examined for no less than 2 weeks. Everyone who spent more than an hour and a half inside the outer shell, or more than an hour inside the inner shell, are to be considered to fail the inspection, regardless of observed state. All diagnosed cases are to be processed as soon as possible. Employees with diagnosed symptoms are to be put in an artificial coma under pretense of an insignificant surgical intervention, given 2 complete cycles of D-class amnestic treatment, and subsequently euthanized by a neurotoxin injection and cremated. The rest of the personnel are to be given a cover story implicating that the employee is dismissed for medical reasons and transferred to another Foundation's facility. You will receive the instructions on covering the above referenced activity from your ISD case officers. So basically, there is no cure.
Okay, so like we already know where
Yeah.
it goes.
It's in
It's
CK.
a CK. But like, so it's an object that's got the building blocks of some kind of mind. Anything that it perceives except for itself ceases to exist, and remaining in close contact with it spreads it somehow?
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I think the longest part of the article was the fucking containment procedures.
I think
Oh, yes.
having it enter you and help spread it, because think like this: if it's inside you and you're walking around, that means it's getting out of its little bubble.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's actually terrifying.
Oh wait, come to think of it. Yeah, okay, so now I'm getting it. Like when it's doing that, it's basically taking over people and using them as a means to gather information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That means that person is dying inside more than more. I mean, more and more, the more the thing is in there, and there's no way to save that person.
How long did it take me to read that? It
Like
almost
a weird, like, parasite.
that almost took me an hour to read. Jesus Christ.
How would you feel if that thing entered you?
Kinky.
No!
Yeah, but
No!
I wasn't gonna say it, but that was you gave her way too much of an opportunity there.
Well, I did, but it's a world destroying, like, machine thing. You're not supposed to say kinky.
Correction,
will.
reality destroying.
Yeah, the next SCP is Eternal Affairs. It's the next number after 2410 is 2411.
Internal affairs, how fun.
All right, item 2411, 2411. Object class neutralized. Okay. Special containment procedures. 2411 is to be kept unloaded, fitted with a custom built lock, and secured in a low value item storage locker at Set 30. Update. Following its neutralization, record of SCP-2411, including its testing log, is to be maintained in the event that anomalous objects with similar or identical properties are discovered. What? Sorry, I was clicking things. Description. SCP-2411 resembles a typical redacted model redacted snub-nosed revolver. It can be unloaded, loaded, fired, disassembled, and reassembled as normal. The only physical alteration from a standard model is the phrase "for internal use only," inscribed where a serial number would usually be. It appears to have the anomalous property of causing the instantaneous death of multiple subjects. This means of triggering the means of triggering the anomalous property or determining its targets are unknown. SCP-2411 was recovered following a homicide investigation in Redacted, where 4 employees of a small insurance company were found dead of gunshot wounds in the forehead. The fifth and final employee was found dead at their home in what appeared to be a suicide unrelated to firearms. Police found writings of this employee's home indicating homicidal intent towards their coworkers, making him the initial suspect in their investigation. But they were unable to place the fifth employee at the scene of the crime. They were unable to find witnesses who had seen or heard the shooting in a busy part of town in broad daylight or explain the perfectly identical facial injuries with no physical traces such as casings or bullets. Local investigators appeared, I mean, Local investigators appeal for help from federal authorities, which led to Foundation involvement and recovery of SCP-2411 from the home of the fifth employee. Testing with the SCP-2411 has been able to replicate the effects due to the concerns that it could come into the possession of an entity capable of reactivating its properties. 2411 was disassembled and its material components were individually destroyed on Redacted. SCP-2411 is now considered neutralized. By Site Director Command, Redacted, the testing log SCP-2411 is restricted to Security Level 4 personnel and above only. So, it cannot hurt anyone. It's literally melted into
There's more.
There's more. There's
okay.
access granted and then access
Yeah,
granted.
I have it open, yeah. Containment class, Keter. And disruption class, Connect. Risk class, critical.
Hey, Jerry, do you want me to read what those mean? The
Yeah,
disruption class
the
and Connect.
Connect.
Alright, Connect is the known or potential disruption that would be extended to a number of people roughly defined as a city. The anomalous effects could spread with fairly significant speed, fast enough to cause concern. Foundation would find it moderately difficult to neutralize its effects. And the critical...
How about the risk class level?
The critical is, this risk class should only be chosen when the object's effects will be near instant or extremely severe. It does not necessarily need to cause an actual death, but the death is incredibly likely and expected. Any individual nearby will feel the effects near instantly, and the possibility of recovery is impossible.
You know what? That makes sense. Special containment procedures. SCP-2411 is to be locked inside a secure, opaque container and placed in a high-value item storage room in Site-30. This room is accessible only by the site director when accompanied by at least 2 other Level 4 personnel. This custom-built lock on Site-2411 is to not, on SCP-2411 is to not be removed without approval of the Level 5 personnel. Foundation personnel are not permitted to directly handle SCP-2411 under any circumstances. 2 guards are to be posted outside of the storage room at all times. Under no circumstances are researchers or legal counsel will have participated in experiments with SCP-2411 and are aware of its properties are to be allowed access to Site-30. Description: SCP-2411 resembles a redacted snub-nosed revolver. The only physical alteration from a standard model is the phrase for internal use, inscribed where a serial number would usually be. When a person who is employed by a company for the user places the end of the SCP in their mouth and pulls the trigger, it results in the instantaneous death of all other company or organization they belong. Oh!
Jesus!
Oh, that's spicy!
By the way, Jerry, you're cutting in and out a bit.
Yeah, I was about to say something.
Yeah, I might want to
Okay,
exit and rejoin.
That's already fucked.
Do I sound better now?
Yes.
Yeah, you sound better.
Okay, I thought that might be. That's magical. Okay, let me keep reading. When a person who is employed by a company or organization, henceforth the user, places the end of the... Oh yeah, I already read that part, sorry. The cause of death appears to be a gunshot wound to the forehead, though no cause of this injury can be found. SCP-2411 can be unloaded and still produce this effect, meaning it does not necessarily kill the user. Oh gosh. So it kills everyone but the user if it's not loaded?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
Implications of SCP-2411's anomalous properties were not understood at the time of its recovery. Standard testing with D-Class personnel being found considered before the...
Bless you.
Sorry.
Bless you.
Standard testing with the D-Class personnel was being considered before the Ethics Committee flagged testing with the SCP-2411 for review by the Foundation's legal department. The legal department determined that D-Class personnel, for purposes of SCP-2411's hypothetical effects, were to be considered employees of the Foundation. Accordingly, if testing had proceeded with the D-Class personnel using 2411 as intended, it likely would have resulted in the instantaneous death of all persons currently employed by the Foundation. Oh!
That would be horrible.
it's like, okay, how about we have this serial killer use this? It's like, no, no, no. If you do that, it could kill everyone.
We're all die.
Yeah, okay. Oh gosh. Emergency testing was conducted with prison inmates from the redacted correctional facility who were not granted D-class status. Representatives from the Foundation's legal department joined researchers to provide legally valid employment contract certificates or incorporation and other forms of documentation as needed. The following observations were: SCP-2411 has no effect when the user is an unemployed person. 2411 has no effect when fitted with a custom-built lock that would impede the normal function of a firearm. If a corporation was legally dissolved, SCP-2411 would have no effect when the user used by any for I mean, it would have no effect when used by any former employees. 2411 may affect proprietorships, partnerships, corporations, not-for-profits, charitable or religious organizations, and government. Oh, are you saying you could shoot yourself as a member of one government and it might kill all of the staff of that government?
Wow.
Oh.
Hmm.
Oh.
Spicy.
Okay. Verbal contracts were recognized as valid by SCP-2411. SCP-2411 has no effects if an employed user resigns, quits, retires, or is fired from their position before pulling the trigger. Verbal indication of termination of contract from either of the employee or their employer is sufficient to avoid the lethal effect. 2411 must be in a user's mouth to produce its effect. Researchers opted not to explore the potential of its function when the item is in any other orifice.
All right, D-class, listen. Shove this gun up your ass.
A user who is an entry-level employee can cause the death of upper management and vice versa. Oh yeah, you could kill your boss by shoving a gun up your mouth. Payment is not necessary to qualify as an employee, but unpaid interns are not subject to the effect of SCP-2411. Sorry. Legal counsel drafted a charter document for Procedure Certain and Suspect Foundation, which included a provision allowing for the conscription of Class Z personnel. When used by Class Z personnel, all members of the PCS Foundation were affected, including overseeing members of the 5 Council. This appears to confirm the hypothesis about the dangers of testing SCP-2411 with D-Class personnel. Did they make a miniature fake foundation?
Oh no,
Yes.
oh no. I see the next one already.
Oh no, this one's looking like it'll be interesting.
One user was a long-time member of Redacted Gang, a white supremacist organization active in and out of several prisons in Redacted State. The sudden death of all members of the gang, an estimated redacted people, was explained by disinformation campaign as a high-precision operation orchestrated by a rival gang. This is the highest number of known victims of a single use of SCP-2411. A user who was acting as a mole would harm the organization they had infiltrated, but not the one which assigned them the mission. In other words, if the user retained a secret loyalty to company, was technically employed by Company B, their use of SCP-2411 would cause the deaths of Company B's personnel. You know what? I can't be angry at the SCP Foundation for testing it on supremacists. I
But
want to be angry, but I can't.
Though, to be fair, it kind of sounds like it was an incidental issue. I feel like the SCP Foundation, if they had, like, purposefully, like, known that this person was a member of said gang, they wouldn't have used him. Because that sounds like an absolute headache to deal with.
Okay.
Presumably hundreds of people dropping dead suddenly. Judging by the length of that redacted people part.
Yeah.
Keelan, the people who are not affected are people who are unemployed or people who are retired.
Yeah.
That's it. If you're part of a group, you are affected.
Yes.
Unless you are an intern. Interns are not affected. You need to get paid to be affected.
Oh no, it said that pay is not required, but for whatever reason, unpaid interns still don't get counted.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you don't. I think unpaid interns are not affected because they're less treated like official members, and they're typically used as temporary workforce slavery.
Yeah, it's basically a contractor that you don't pay. So they're not technically a
yeah, and they
employee
always
of the
work
place they're
them harder
working.
than they would their actual employees.
Yeah.
This is just one of the reasons we have an ethics committee checking our work, people. You can't go blindly testing things on D-Class and think it's never going to bite you in the ass. If one of them had used this, well, I'd hate to think of a world without a foundation. Just imagine if this fell into the hands of a depressed government employee. Oh, fuck. Or hell, some fry cook at Redacted. Given the only way to guarantee our safety seems to be making us all unpaid interns, I'm submitting a request of decommission this thing as soon as possible. Dr. Lorenstein.
I think that redacted is McDonald's. Oh no.
Just every
no.
McDonald's, they're just a bunch of corpses.
Oh no.
And since some McDonald's hires children illegally, but still.
Oh yeah, holy fuck. Did it mention whether or not it applies to, like, illegal employees?
No.
Like employees that
still
were not legally.
They recognize verbal contracts.
Oh yeah, so yeah, that's boy, that's fun. Anyway,
There was
I'll
some
try.
debate regarding proper object classification for SCP-2411. While the object itself poses no apparent risk or containment breach, which would be met with the definition of safe, some staff members argued that the threat it posed to the Foundation's existence meant research into its neutralization was imperative, a course of action usually reserved for Keter objects. Dr. Lorenstein, lead researcher of 2411, requested that the basic containment procedures be fabricated to prevent widespread organizational knowledge of the item's anomalous effects. Site director Wetz approved this request on November 5th of 2016 and classified SCP-2411 as a Keter class object pending neutralization. A request to decommission SCP-2411 was submitted to the O5 Council on Redacted. The Council unanimously voted to decommission SCP-2411 on Redacted. Decommissioning was carried out on Redacted, and SCP-2411 is now considered neutralized. Transcripts of O5's deliberation are available to one person of security clearance level 5 overseeing of the region containing Site 30 only. All right, now let's read this. First of all, let me say congratulations on your promotion to senior staff. You hold a special position of trust and recognition for your unfaltering loyalty and commitment to the Foundation. At the same time, you've proven yourself intelligent enough to understand that we've had to keep some things hidden from our own personnel. As such, expect to know where this is going. I mean, I expect you to know where this is going. SCP-2411 was not decommissioned. Oh, fuck. It's been hidden away someplace where no one person knows exactly how to reach it, but it's under the control of the O5 Council. This was far from a unanimous decision. In fact, I voted against it. But here we are. There may soon come a time when an organization threatens the Foundation, the planet, or a baseline reality to a degree beyond anything we've seen before. I apologize that I cannot be more specific, but you will understand when the moment arrives. You will betray the Foundation and offer your services to them. As senior staff, you will have a wealth of information they can put to use. All I ask in return is a guarantee of your safety and payment for your cooperation. Preferably something in writing, a contract, if you will. Once we know that you have become one of them, and made sure to terminate your employment with the Foundation, SCP-2411 will be delivered to you. We will trust you know what to do. At this point, you have surely noticed every prior level of documentation has contained fabrications to minimize the risk produced by the object's existence. Perhaps you believe, with good reason, that you're still not being told the full story. Maybe you don't buy the idea that the object would leave its user unharmed. Perhaps it's just something we included at the lower levels to ensure that you do not hesitate out of misplaced sense of self-preservation when we need you to pull the trigger. It may be the case that nothing I can say will convince you that you will survive if you use SCP-2411. Regardless, I hope that is a risk you are willing to take if the Foundation's existence depended on you. We don't get many trump cards. I suppose it would have been a shame to throw this one away. 05-11.
Now this is an interesting one.
I'm kind of thinking world changing, because if government employees were to get their hands on it, they could really fuck up shit.
Yeah, one non-existent bullet, one pull of the trigger could destroy an entire organization. In fact, think of this. If someone's part of the mustache party, it would kill people, and they pulled the bullet, it would affect people in multiple countries.
Yeah, basically any plants or spies that are in direct relations with them. So as long as
there's
like
nothing lower than world changing. It's world changing.
Yeah. I guess the main thing, especially since, for one, this is a fucking awesome article. I love the layers of deception with safe neutralized. Well, it's actually Keter but neutralized. Oh, by the way, the person reading this document, yeah, it's your job to use this to fuck over any organizations we need you to. Happy hunting.
Yeah.
This was a really good article. Besides that, I wholeheartedly agree with world changing. Obviously, if there are the right hands for this thing to be in right now, it's in them. Yeah. But hypothetically, it getting into the wrong hands can spell either doom or great help to the whole world.
Oh god, I just realized if this got enhanced with Chaos Insurgency.
Oh yeah. Now listen, here's my proposal. Here's my proposal as presumably some kind of random offshoot of the Serpent's Hand.
Mm-hmm.
We get this SCP. We have someone infiltrate the KKK and use it.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
There's
I
there's
know it
like
wouldn't affect
there's
any of my family members.
oh yeah. And let's just be frank, if it was to affect any of our distant familial relations, has the world lost much?
No.
Regardless.
No.
Either way, yeah. World changing appropriate with this. This was actually one of the coolest articles I've heard in a while.
And
Man,
it
it'd be
didn't
nice if it
involve
only
traumatizing
rich.
children, then ignoring the trauma.
Yeah. This stream has been a roller coaster. We had 4 SCPs. We 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 had what was the first one again? My brain just died.
The
Oh yeah,
the destroyed
the
airship.
the destroyer. So we've got a really spooky extraterrestrial threat written by terrible person. Then I leave, but we have Sarkic cult that could and end up leading to the destruction of entire continents. Then we have a whole bunch of traumatized children. Then we have the means to kill anyone in any organization instantly.
Yeah.
This was a very productive meeting of the Keter class reviewer council.
There's actually one thing I forgot. You know how they're saying they want to destroy the destroyer? If they do, it would disrupt time, because in Ouroboros cycle in that universe, basically the destroyer is used to kill the broken god.
Oh,
So if it's destroyed, there's
fun.
nothing to stop the broken god.